welcome back to Game Galaxy, and today I just wanted to gush about how awesome Marvel's Spider-Man for PS4 is, as well as my history and memories I have playing Spider-Man video games. I apologize, I have a Batman shirt on. I don't have any Spider-Man shirts, so we'll have to just do with a superhero theme here. But this game is so incredibly awesome, and it's not going to be a review or spoiler of any kind. I'm not going to talk about the story, and I'm not doing a full review. I'm just going to talk about how awesome things about it. But before we talk about this game, I want to go back in time and talk about some of the Spider-Man games I grew up playing and, you know, which ones were important to me. And so this first one I'm going to bring up is on the Sega Genesis, and that is Spider-Man on the Sega Genesis. This game is also known as Spider-Man versus the Kingpin. And this game, man, now here's the disclaimer. This is not a very good game, and it's extremely difficult, and I do not suggest anyone try and play it today. However, I am so nostalgic with this game, man. I gotta look at this cartridge. I haven't seen it in some time. I mean, it's just the front cover again, but I love this game, man, and I will always love it for the amount of nostalgia I had with this. I used to play this game over and over and over again, and take its crushing, brutal difficulty until I got better and better and better. And this is one of those games that if you don't play on a high enough difficulty, it'll let you do a couple of levels and then just say, hey, that's great and all, but why don't you go back and try it on a higher difficulty? So there's no easy here. But you go, Kingpin has turned the city against Spider-Man, and there's a bomb you have to dismantle, and different villains have different keys to shutting down the bomb. So you fight people like Sandman, Electro, Doc Ock, and you can take pictures during the levels, which will ultimately, at the end of the level, give you some score or money, which will refill your health or your web fluid, but I'm pretty sure it's your health at the end of the level. So it's a difficult game, and if you're finding that you have 24 hours essentially to beat the game, 24 hours in game time. And if you're, getting your butt kicked in a level and it's just too hard, you can go to your apartment real quick and your health will heal, but the time that you have left to beat the game will count down much faster. And when you leave the apartment, you just start that same level back at the beginning. Many levels you can just try to rush to the end just to get to the boss fights, but man, what I end up doing all the time is jumping and putting on a web shield, fighting a few times till the web shield wears off, going to start menu again, turn the web shield on, rinse and repeat. But as I've said, this is not the best game in the world, but I will always love it from just being the original Spider-Man game I first seriously played. So I'll always love that. In addition to that, also on the Sega Genesis, I enjoyed the Spider-Man beat-em-up games, and that's, Maximum Carnage there, and of course, Spider-Man and Venom, Separation Anxiety. These games are so cool, but man, they are hard without any kind of cheat codes to give you extra lives and extra continues, because Maximum Carnage is extremely difficult, but very cool, story-based. This Maximum Carnage is only one player, so for me personally, I always enjoyed Venom and Spider-Man Separation Anxiety much better because you could play this two-player, and it was much more fun and easier to go through those hordes of bad guys with a buddy or a friend at your side. And it was definitely cool to play as Venom if you wanted to play as Venom. So as good as Spider-Man on PS4 is, the next game is probably my favorite Spider-Man game of all time, based on, again, of just the memories and the amount of fun I had with it. And that is the original Spider-Man PlayStation game. If anybody out there remembers this game by Neversoft, man, I actually played this on the Dreamcast originally, and I was searching around crazily for my Dreamcast copy, and I could not find that to show you guys, so I pulled out my PlayStation copy to show it. I also have it for PC. That's how much I love this game. I bought it on every platform practically. But the footage I'll be showing on screen is from the Dreamcast version. But one great thing about this game is that my friend Keith and I played through the entire game in one day and in one sitting, and we had a blast with it. In this game you kind of go through different comic book scenarios. before the sequence loads, it has like a comic book cover of what you're going to be doing. And I love this game because it doesn't let you go down to the street level or anything like that. And so it has kind of that fog in the distance, kind of like what you would see in Superman 64, or old Nintendo 64 games had a lot of fog in the 3D distance. But this game used the limitations of the hardware as a story point. In the opening cutscene, the bad guys have released this gas upon New York City, so everyone's evacuated and it's toxic. It's too toxic to go down to the ground level. So that was just a great story point to explain away from not having the hardware capabilities or time to build going down to street level. So if you fall from a swing, if you're outside, you will die. So, there's so many cameos of other Marvel characters in there. You got Daredevil shows up, Black Cat. There's a few, Human Torch shows up a few times. But it was so fun and memorable to me. Is just the very first level, which puts you in a little bank heist situation where you're just crawling around on the ceiling and dropping down on guys and webbing up bank robbers that have no idea, with that cool music playing as you do it. And another memory with this is that, as I said, Keith and I played this all the way through in one day. We also, for some reason in my house, there must have been a party recently, we had a bunch of Squirt, that grapefruit soda, and me and him downed can after can of Squirt. We probably had an insane amount of sugar, and I've never drinking so much soda or pop in my life. And we ended up calling Squirt, and I still kind of to this day call Squirt, even though I don't really drink soda much anymore, but we called it Spider-Man juice. I swear we each had 4 each. Like that's how hopped up on sugar and Squirt we were. But man, the game is so fun. Even getting footage for this episode, it was hard for me to put the controller down. I was like, I've got more than enough footage for just a mention in a video. I'm not doing a full review, but I was finding myself getting halfway through the game and I was like, I've got to stop. So Spider-Man, absolutely one of my favorites of all time. I've played it on all versions as well, and I'm going to have to find or buy it for Dreamcast again because I love that one. Now, the next game really revolutionized Spider-Man games, and it set the precedent and the model for all Spider-Man games moving forward, including Spider-Man on PS4, and that is Spider-Man 2 for PlayStation 2. This wonderful, wonderful game. What's great about this is, and this is another idea for another video sometime, but this is a movie tie-in game that doesn't suck. It's actually really, really, really good. And the first Spider-Man movie game was not bad either, but it didn't have a full open world of New York. Spider-Man 2 was the first time we were getting that open world experience of New York City. And my goodness, the swinging was so good. It was, unlike, as much as I love this Spider-Man game, it's kind of goofy that you always, if you were outside, your web went off into infinity and seemingly attached to nowhere. And if you could get the camera high enough, you could occasionally see it just hitting the top of the game world, even though nothing was there. But in Spider-Man 2, your web actually connects to buildings. So if there aren't any buildings around, you aren't going to be swinging. And you need to adjust your swings as such. And you can always see it attaching to stuff, much like it works in the new game. And so as you're watching some of the footage I'm putting on screen here, you can see a lot of the animations, a lot of the gameplay has been, is kind of mirrored or modeled after in the new Spider-Man for PS4. Obviously the animations have been improved and the mechanics are better, but this set the standard for what a Spider-Man game is and should be. And I tell you, man, it was so fun going up super high on a building and just jumping off the first time. Unbelievably amount of fun in this game. I also played Spider-Man 3 on PlayStation 2, even though it was a PS3 exclusive. So, yeah, man, this... You know, it was funny grabbing footage for this game because it's so funny how time changes things. Because, I mean, I always knew playing certain PS2 games, even in the day, was like, you know, the graphics are toned down because we're on PS2. But going back, I was like, man, it kind of looks really bad. But even after you spend time playing with it, you forget about that because the gameplay is so fun. Now, my confession is, after I played Spider-Man 3, the PS2 version, which was kind of an offshoot and not the real one, I honestly didn't play any Spider-Man games up until this point. So I have completely missed the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 generation of Spider-Man games. And there were a few more that came out on PS2, I think, like Friend or Foe. I kind of let those slide over me. And I hadn't played a Spider-Man game until getting this one. And truth be told, I was thinking of canceling my pre-order on this because I have so many things I'm playing right now, like the HD remakes of Shenmue and many other games, obviously, on my backlog and queue I want to play. But I let it come out, and I was like, you know what? I watched a few reviews. I watched Johnny, Happy Console Gamer, do his review, and I saw a little bit of that swinging, and I was like, man, all right, I'll just pick it up. And let me tell you, man, when you first jumped out of that window and started swinging, and the first time I experienced the swinging, oh my gosh, my smile was so big. I was just smiling like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And I kept saying to my wife that I was just like, I am so glad I got this. This is awesome. I can't believe I wanted to cancel my pre-order. And it is just gleeful fun. I cannot tell you, like, how they've got the motion of the camera and the animation, the swinging is so fun and really robust with the way that you can just keep your momentum up, and you get better and better at doing the different kind of things. You can launch yourself and lock onto somewhere, pull yourself, and jump off launch and keep going. Man, it's so crazy. I climbed up to the top of the Freedom Tower and I took a dive off that thing. Oh man, it was so fun. In fact, the swinging is so fun that there was a night I came home late from work, super tired, and I didn't even play any of this story. I just swung around the city for about an hour because that to me was just so fun and like a stress reliever after a very long day I had. So playing this, this is something really important I wanted to talk about, is that like Spider-Man used to be my favorite superhero. Absolutely. I was obsessed with Spider-Man. I was obsessed with Spider-Man for years, man. Up into high school, I had tons of Spider-Man figures, Spider-Man posters everywhere. I loved the Sam Raimi movies up until kind of 2 and 3. I didn't really dig 3. Of course not 3, but the fact that they were making a movie of Spider-Man, besides the Batman movies, was like the first Spider-Man is what kicked it off into where we are today. With now we're drowning in superheroes. But so my point is, Batman eventually took my love, but this is making me a Spider-Man fan again. And my point is, of Spider-Man being my favorite superhero, is that Spider-Man, I feel, is a superhero that everyone has kind of a different personal connection with, if that makes sense. Like, the vibe it might give you might be different, or what it means to you. And playing this game has totally brought back a lot of those feelings and attractions that I originally had to Spider-Man growing up in a very nostalgic way for me, if that makes sense. It's like rekindling my love for Spider-Man, but this game also captures the essence of Spider-Man so well that it makes me feel at home. I hope I'm making sense. I'm talking very metaphysically right now. It's very strange, but in short, what I'm trying to say is that it felt so comfortable and familiar. I was in the world of Spider-Man. I know where I'm at, and it feels good, man. And it's bringing a bit of my youth to me in a way. Just the joy of Spider-Man and how much of a fun character he is. You know, he's absolutely great, because I was watching a video review on this game done by the amazing Lucas, and he made a great point about how a lot of superheroes, like, take Bruce Wayne, Batman, he's rich, right? Kind of unrelatable. Tony Stark, he is rich, kind of unrelatable. Like, we have all these superheroes that kind of have everything already, whereas Spider-Man, he can't pay his rent on time. He's he's got real life problems. He's saving the world, or and saving people and doing all these great things, but he's got real life issues and problems, work, relationship issues. He's struggling to pay his rent. Real life things that are relatable. And Spider-Man is often portrayed in his stories as much younger, either in high school or just fresh out of high school, in that kind of young adult life. And so that's really relatable to a lot of people. And I think that's part of the draw of Spider-Man. So I could go on and on. The graphics, again, are just beautiful. Swinging is so fun. And I want to say, if you are on the fence about getting this game, don't even wait. Go get it. It's really cool. Forget about Puddlegate, man. This game is absolutely gorgeous and will take your breath away and give you a lot of fun, man. So I highly recommend Spider-Man PS4. For those, it's also, I want to go back now and see if any of the amazing Spider-Man games that came out on PlayStation 3 and that area are even good, because now I'm kind of wanting to go back and play the Spider-Man games I missed. So let me know, guys, what do you think about this game if you've played it? Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you not like it? And what are your favorite Spider-Man games through the year? That is what I would like to know. As I said, mine is the Neversoft Spider-Man game that was on I'm pretty sure it was on everything, 64, PlayStation, and Dreamcast, and PC. So that's my favorite, so please let me know yours. All right, I'll see you next time.